Hey guys, welcome back to Alleviated Soul. So today I'm narrating you the next chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Kapila, the son of Kardama Muni and Devahūti, Canto 3. Vidura was very inquisitive to hear about the descendants of Swayambhuva Manu, and so Maitreya recited the history. In the beginning of Satya Yuga, when Lord Brahma commanded him to beget children, Kardama Muni went to the shore of the river Saraswati and performed austerities there for 10,000 years. During that period, Kardama pleased the Supreme Lord by worshipping him while in the trance of meditation. Thus, Lord Vishnu appeared before the sage in his beautiful and greatly effulgent four-armed form that was decorated with a garland of white lotus flowers. The Lord was dressed in spotless yellow silk, and his dark tresses of hair created a border for his beautiful face. While remaining in the sky, the Lord stood upon Garuda's shoulders and smilingly glanced at Kardama. Feeling that his transcendental desire had become fulfilled, Kardama fell to the ground to offer his obeisances. After standing up with folded hands, Kardama Muni glorified the Lord by offering his prayers. O most worshipful Lord, my power of vision has now served its purpose, for I am seeing you before me in your eternal, transcendental form. Your lotus feet are the true vessel by which one can cross over the ocean of mundane nescience, and so only deluded persons will worship you for attaining momentary sense pleasure. O my Lord, because you are also merciful to such foolish persons, I have also taken shelter of you while desiring to marry a girl of like disposition who may prove to be a veritable cow of plenty in my household life. While looking at Kardama with a smile full of affection, the Lord replied to him with words that were as sweet as nectar. The Lord said, "Knowing your mind, I have already arranged to give you that for which you had worshipped me. My dear sage, there is never a question of frustration for those persons who have given up everything to serve me with devotion. On the day after tomorrow, Emperor Swayambhuva Manu, who rules the earth with its 7 islands and seas from his capital, Brahmavarta, will come here to see you along with his queen Shatarupa. Manu has a beautiful daughter of marriageable age who is endowed with all good qualities, and because she is just suitable for you, he will give you her hand in marriage. O holy sage, she is just the type of girl you have been thinking of in your heart for all these years. Rest assured that she will soon be yours, and you will serve you to your heart's content. From your semen she will beget 9 daughters, through whom the great sages will further increase the population. By remaining always in full consciousness of me, and at the same time showing compassion toward all living creatures, you will ultimately achieve perfect self-realization. Thus, you will be able to perceive me in you and yourself and all else within me. O great sage, I will also manifest my plenary portion through your wife, and as her son, I will instruct her in the knowledge of the absolute truth. After speaking, the Lord departed from the Bindu Sarovara lake, which is encircled by the river Saraswati. As the Lord traversed the path back to Vaikuntha, Kardama listened to the hymns of the Samaveda that were being vibrated by the flapping of Garuda's wings. Meanwhile, as Kardama awaited the time that had been indicated by the Lord, Swayambhuva Manu mounted his chariot along with his wife and daughter and began travelling over the earth in search of a suitable son-in-law. In this way, he reached Kardama's ashrama on the very day the sage had completed his vows of austerity as foretold by the Lord. Bindu Sarovara is highly sacred because its water was mixed with the tears of happiness that the Lord had shed upon seeing Kardama's austerities. Pious trees that were full of fruit and flowers in all seasons surrounded the lake, and the whole area resounded with the cries of exotic birds. Upon entering this beautiful setting, Swayambhuva Manu, the first monarch, saw Kardama just after the completion of his sacrificial performance. Although the sage had been engaged in austerity for a long time, his body was not emaciated because he had contacted the Lord's affectionate sidelong glances and moon-like words. Kardama was very tall and his body shone lustrously due to his living a life of celibacy. Having eyes like lotus petals, the sage wore only rags and he had matted hair, and thus he appeared somewhat like an unpolished gem. When Swayambhuva Manu bowed down before Kardama, the sage reciprocated by receiving him with due honor and offering his benediction. After the emperor was seated, Kardama praised him with very sweet words, saying, "My lord, because you embody the protecting energy of Sri Hari and are therefore his earthly representative, I offer my obeisances unto you. If you did not mount your chariot and produce fierce sounds by the twanging of your bow, and if you did not lead your huge army over the surface of the earth, then all kinds of moral laws which were created by the Supreme Lord Himself would be broken by the rogues and rascals. If you did not concern yourself with the world situation, then unrighteousness would flourish, because persons who only hanker after money would be free to act without opposition. Now, O valiant king, please inform me of the purpose for which you have come here, and rest assured that we will carry it out without reservation." After Kardama became silent, Manu replied, "To expand Vedic knowledge, Lord Brahma created you, the Brahmanas, who are full of austerity, knowledge, and mystic powers, and are adverse to sense gratification. For the protection of the Brahmanas, we, the Kshatriyas, were created. Now, simply by meeting you, all my doubts regarding the execution of royal duties have been removed by your clear and concise explanations. I feel extremely fortunate just to be able to see you, and so what to speak of having received the opportunity to touch my head to the sacred dust of your feet. O great sage, kindly listen to my humble prayer, for my mind is troubled by affection for my daughter Devahūti, who is seeking a suitable husband in terms of age, character, and good qualities. After hearing from Narada about your noble character, learning, handsome appearance, and other virtues, she has fixed her mind solely upon you. Therefore, please accept her, O best of the Brahmanas, for she is fully qualified to be your wife and take charge of your household affairs. It is not commendable for a person to deny an offering that has come of its own accord, even if he is absolutely free from all attachment, and so what to speak if he is addicted to sense pleasure? One who rejects such an offering and then later on begs the same thing from a miser loses his good reputation as well as his self-esteem. I know that you are planning to marry and have not taken a vow of lifelong celibacy. Therefore, please accept my daughter. Kardama said, "It is true that I desire to marry, and since your daughter has never before given her heart to anyone, I agree to accept her. Who would not agree to marry your daughter? For she is so lovely that her bodily luster alone excels the beauty of her ornaments. I once heard from Vishwavasu the Gandharva, while flying overhead, became so infatuated by seeing your daughter playing with a ball on the palace roof that he fell from his airplane. I shall accept this chastic girl as my wife, but only on the condition that after she gives birth to a child, I may leave home to accept the renounced life of the Paramahamsa for full engagement in devotional service to the Lord." After saying this, Kardama became silent, his mind absorbed in thought of his worshipable Lord Vishnu. Upon seeing his serenely smiling face, Devahūti's mind became completely captivated, and she began to meditate upon him without deviation. Understanding the desire of his wife and daughter, Swayambhuva Manu gladly gave Devahūti to the sage. Shatarupa then presented many valuable things such as jewelry, clothing, and household articles as a dowry. Having become relieved from his heavy responsibility by handing over by handing over his daughter to a suitable man, Swayambhuva Manu fondly embraced Devahūti, and because his mind became agitated by feelings of separation, tears poured profusely from his eyes. Finally, after taking permission from Kardama, Manu mounted his chariot and departed for his capital. When Manu arrived at Brahmavarta, the citizens joyfully came to greet him with prayers and music. This city was also called Barhismati because when Lord Varaha had shaken his body, some of his hair had fallen there and transformed into kusha and kasha grass. After acknowledging the welcome of his subjects, Manu entered his palace, which was filled with an atmosphere that eradicated the threefold miseries of material existence. There, the emperor enjoyed life along with his wife and subjects without violating the principles of religion, and every morning he would listen to the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a loving heart. Thus, although he was apparently absorbed in royal material happiness, the emperor could not be degraded because he always enjoyed life in a Krishna conscious atmosphere. Because of this, his long duration of life, consisting of 71 yoga cycles, was not spent in vain. Due to having utilized his time for hearing, contemplating and chanting the glorious pastimes of the Supreme Lord, Swayambhuva Manu went back home, back to Godhead after quitting his material body. After the departure of her parents, Devahūti began to constantly serve her husband with great love. Understanding his every desire, she served Kardama very intimately, but with great respect, control of the senses, and pleasing speech. While giving up all lust, pride, envy, greed, and vanity, Devahūti worked very sanely and diligently, and thus she pleased her powerful husband. After serving Kardama for a long time, Devahūti grew weak and emaciated because of her strict vows. At the same time, she considered her husband to be like a god, and so she expected great blessings from him. Upon seeing Devahūti's condition, Kardama felt great compassion, and so he addressed her in a voice that was choked up due to great love. Kardama Muni said, "O daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, I have become extremely pleased by your great devotion and service. Since the body is so dear to everyone, I am astonished to see how you have neglected your body for my sake. I have received the blessings of the Supreme Lord because of my austerity in meditation and devotional service, and as a result, I have become free from all fear and lamentation. Although you have not yet experienced such advanced consciousness, I shall enable you to do so as a reward for your selfless service. In comparison with this, all material artificial due to their flickering nature. Hearing the words of her husband, Devahūti felt very satisfied and her smiling face shone brightly. While glancing at him somewhat bashfully, she addressed Kardama with a voice that faltered due to great humility and love. Devahūti said, "My dear husband, I know that you have already achieved perfection and are the master of all mystic powers. Now, please remember how you had promised that our bodily union would produce children. You should fulfill that promise because the begetting of offspring is the ardent desire of a chaste woman who has a glorious husband. My dear Lord, I am very eager for that union, and so please make arrangements whereby my skinny body, which has become emaciated due to unsatisfied passion, may be rendered fit. Also, please arrange for a suitable house so that we may enjoy in a befitting manner." From the very beginning of her marriage, Devahūti had wanted to become pregnant first and then apply herself fully for achieving the grace of the Lord. Therefore, to please his beloved wife, Kardama instantly produced a flying palace that could travel at will. This multi-storied mansion was capable of yielding all desires and was equipped with all kinds of furniture and other paraphernalia. Adorned with pillars made of precious stones and decorated all around with flags and artwork, it looked very charming and tended to increase with time. Its beautiful emerald domes were bedecked with gold, and within were multitudes of live swans and pigeons, as well as strikingly realistic artificial ones. The palace contained pleasure grounds, bedrooms, and other amenities that were so wonderfully arranged that even Kardama became highly astonished. Kardama could study the heart of anyone, and so when he saw Devahūti looking at the opulent palace with displeasure, he understood her feelings. Kardama said, "My dear wife, first bath in the Bindu Sarovara, which can grant all the desires of a human being, and then board this flying mansion." Devahūti's body was coated with a thick layer of dirt, and she was dressed in dirty rags, with matted hair and discolored breast. She did not look very attractive. Accepting the order of her husband, Devahūti dove into the lake, and therein she entered a house that was occupied by 1,000 girls who were all in the prime of youth and fragrant like lotuses. Upon seeing Devahūti, the girls got up from their seats and with folded hands they submitted, "We are your maid servants, so please order us as you like." With great respect, the Vidyadhara girls bathed Devahūti using valuable oils and then dressed her in fine cloth. They adorned her with excellent ornaments and then offered her sumptuous food and a herself freed from all dirt and dressed and decorated in a most pleasing manner. Her complexion shone brilliantly and her dark eyes defeated the beauty of the lotus petal. Then, as soon as Devahūti thought of her husband, she was immediately transported into his presence along with the maid servants. Devahūti was astonished at the miraculous powers of her husband. When Kardama saw how Devahūti had regained her former beauty, his fondness for her increased. The great sage then placed his wife upon the flying palace, and together they travelled to the pleasure valleys of Mount Meru, where cool, gentle, fragrant breezes stimulate one's passion. There, in the company of his wife and the 1000 Vidyadhara girls, Kardama enjoyed himself for many, many years. And yet, even though the sage appeared to be very attached to his beloved consort, he did not actually lose his glory, or in other words, his mastery over the self. Thereafter, Kardama travelled to other heavenly spots such as the Nandana and Chaitraratya gardens and the Manasa Sarovara lake. By the mercy of the Supreme Lord, Kardama Muni was able to fly all over the universe at will, and thus he surpassed even the demigods. After showing his wife all the wonders within the three worlds, Kardama returned to his ashrama and then expanded himself into 9 personalities just to give pleasure to Devahūti, who was very eager for sexual gratification. While remaining in that aerial palace, Kardama and Devahūti lay on an excellent bed that stimulated their sexual desire, and thus they enjoyed bodily union for a long while without even knowing how the time was passing. After 100 years had thus passed like a mere moment, Kardama impregnated Devahūti with 9 discharges of semen, and on the same day she gave birth to 9 daughters, all of whom had beautiful bodily features and emanated a fragrance like that of the red lotus flower. Thereafter, when Devahūti saw that her husband was about to leave home, her heart became very agitated and distressed, although externally she managed to smile. While scratching the ground with her toes and bending her head downward, Devahūti suppressed her tears and said, "My lord, you have fulfilled all your promises, and yet, since I am your surrendered soul, you should also award me with the fearlessness that is gained by self-realization. My dear Brahmana, after our daughters are married and gone away, who will give me solace in your absence? Until now, I was ignorant of your transcendental position, and so I simply wasted my time in sense gratification. Nonetheless, I have developed love for a saintly person, and so the same attachment that binds one to material existence should award me the liberation that I did not desire. My dear master, which can award liberation from material bondage, I did not aspire to make spiritual advancement. While remembering the words spoken by Lord Vishnu, Kardama Muni replied, "O princess, do not be disappointed, for the infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead will soon enter your womb to become your son. Now, you should worship the Lord with great faith and controlled senses. In reciprocation, He will not only spread your fame, but He will slash the knot of material attachment in your heart by imparting absolute knowledge." Being fully faithful to her husband, Devahūti began executing his order by worshipping the Supreme Lord. Finally, after many years, the Supreme Personality of Godhead entered Kardama's semen and was then placed into Devahūti's womb. And at the time of the Lord's descent, the demigods played musical instruments in the sky while the Gandharvas sang of his glories. The Apsaras danced in ecstasy, the denizens of heaven showered flowers, and all directions and the minds of everyone became very sanctified and peaceful. So, my dear listeners, this chapter is very long, hence I am going to make part of this chapter. So this will be the first part. Subscribe to Alleviated Soul for listening to next part of this chapter. Thank you.